What's going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ. Welcome back to a brand new video. If you're like me, you may actually be wondering what mechanics are worth target farming in this game. Well, today I wanted to take a look at Ritual and run 100 maps to see exactly what we will get from it. Now, there's many great things that Ritual actually drops, and you can get a lot of high currency from this pretty quickly, going from the Audience with the Kings that sells for 3 divines, and the Omens that can sell upwards of 20 to 40 divines per Omen drop, which is absolutely insane if you really think about it. So like I said, we're going to be running 100 Ritual maps to see exactly what currency we get, how much return to our investment, and really is Ritual worth it, or if you should just kind of focus on other stuff in the game and kind of just forget about Ritual. Now, before we get into it, if you guys do like the video or you like what I'm doing on my YouTube channel, if you consider hitting a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, that helps me out immensely, and it really does help with YouTube algorithm. In turn, that is the best way you can support me. So before getting into the results of the 100 run test, I want to get into why is Ritual considered good to farm, or maybe why you should target farm it. Well, like I said earlier in the beginning, there's a lot of good stuff that drops from Ritual, from the Audience with the Kings that goes for 3 divines. A lot of the Omens, especially the purple Omens, they go from anywhere from like 14, 15 divines up to 20 to 30 to 40 divines, and that is a lot of currency if you get any of them to drop. So it can definitely kind of be a gamble going through, and you might not get nothing for a lot of runs, and then you might hit one of those juicy Omens that sells for a lot, which you could get a huge return on investment if you're lucky. Now, you could also get lucky with other stuff too, like gear dropping that maybe could roll really well that you could sell for a decent chunk. And the Ritual tablets in itself actually sells for a good profit, going anywhere from 1 divine upwards to 2 to 3, depending if you get good rolls on the actual tablets that drop. So overall, there's a lot of good stuff you can actually get dropped here, and a lot of high value items that sell for a lot of divines. That's why the return on Ritual can definitely be high, because of those high value items that sell for a lot. So I want to take a quick second to talk about exactly what points I put into the Ritual in the Atlas passive tree. So first, we're going to go into Ominous Portents. This just basically gives us a 50% increased chance to contain Omens. And like I said, if we can get those purple Omens to drop, that'll give us juicy amount of currency, upwards to 40 divines if we can get the right one. So that's why we go for this, so we have a way higher chance of actually seeing that. From there, we're going to go into He Approaches. This basically just gives us 50% increased chance to contain Audience with the Kings. Like I said, they sell for 3 divine each, so they're still really good return on investment if we can get a lot of them to drop. So that's where we're going to go into this as well, to get a better chance to see the Audience with the Kings, and then a better chance to see Omens. After we get those two, we're going to actually go into Tempting Offers. This basically just allows us to reroll the favors an additional time. So normally you can only reroll once, which means we actually get to see more items per map that we run with Ritual. So this gives us a way higher chance of actually seeing Audience with the Kings and Omens. So this is why we run this. From here, the last one, you can either go left tree or you can go middle tree. Now, if you go over here to Promise Devotion, this is basically just going to give you a way less cost of actually deferring stuff. So, if you get something that is really high in cost, this will actually reduce that cost by a significant amount, which means that you have to spend less favor to actually defer it, which can be really good in a lot of cases. You could also go in the middle to Spreading Darkness, which will basically make your maps always have 4 ritual altars, which means you will get a lot more tribute. Now, in my testing running, I would say about 40 to 50% of the time, we're actually just getting 4 ritual altars naturally in our maps. So that's kind of why I went with Promise Devotion, because I figured having this one on the left here, and we're getting 40-50% of the time having 4 ritual altars, we're basically getting the middle one for free as well. So we're kind of double dipping into that. So I kind of just wanted to go with the left one. But if you want to make sure you always have 4, you could go for the middle one, or you could follow the passive tree that you see here that I was running in my testing. So my whole mindset of going in and farming these 100 ritual runs was basically to just get through them fast as possible. So what I was doing is I was going into the map, going and completing at least 3, no matter even if I had 4 rituals on the map. And then I was looking at the items and re-rolling. And if I didn't see anything that was worth any substantial value, I would immediately leave the map and then go into the next one. This allowed me to get through a lot of them pretty quickly and not really have to worry about, a lot of the dead currency that is there, running 4 of them, wasting time and then looking. This has allowed me to see if there was anything good. I could go and run that 4th additional one to actually get it or defer it if needed, and then go to the next map and start all over again. This way I could see much more items per hour, and that was kind of my thought process and mindset behind farming this. Obviously, if this was you, I would go in and actually farm and pick the items up and check to make sure that there was no substantial gear pieces in the actual rituals themselves before rerolling. But for me, I just wanted to target farm the audience with the kings and the good omens, so I skipped the gear pieces and stuff like that. And I also did not put into the calculations the actual tablets themselves for ritual, so this is all just based off of audience with the kings and omens. Alright, so with all that being said, we can now get into the results of the first 50 runs. As you can see, pretty underwhelming considering we did 50 ritual maps and only we've gotten 2 audience with the kings, an omen of corruption, and 1 divine orb. In total, this is 7 divines and about 150 exalts, which isn't too much considering we did 50 maps. So I was feeling pretty underwhelmed with the amount of loot that we actually got from this first 50 runs. So I was thinking maybe there was something that I did wrong or I'm not doing correctly. So I did some investigating and research, and I figured out that I wasn't actually running level 80 plus maps. So running level 80 plus monster level will actually give you a lot better chance of seeing everything that can drop from ritual, but it gives a way higher chance of actually seeing the purple omens to drop. Like I said, I went and looked and I realized that I wasn't actually running level 80 monster levels the whole time. So I went ahead and made sure that I was either running T16 maps the majority of the time, or I was running, you know, aerated or corrupted maps that actually gave that +1 level on T15 maps to get to that level 80 or above. Now, obviously, sometimes it is hard to do that, so you have to run, you know, level 79 monster level to get to level 80s and stuff like that. So majority of these maps were run on level 80 or above going forward on the next 50 runs. I also went ahead and looked at my Atlas strategy because I seen people saying that, hey, make sure you have pack size on your actual Atlas passive tree, so this way you can get, you know, a lot more tribute and make sure that you're not missing out on any of the audiences or anything like that. So I went ahead and looked, and sure enough, my tree wasn't into that actual spec. So I went ahead and redid my Atlas tree and went for pack size where I could in all avenues. This way we're getting a lot more monster spawn in our rituals, which means a lot more tributes, this way we don't miss out on anything going forward. Also, going forward, I tried on my maps to roll for pack size, as this would allow us to get a lot more tribute in our ritual altars. This way, again, we can make sure we don't miss out on anything if something juicy were to drop. So with all that being said and the changes, and make sure we're running pack size and, you know, make sure we're running monster level 80 or above for the best chance of getting the loot to drop, and all that being said, we can now get into the second set of 50 ritual runs to see exactly what we got. And here's what we got from the second set of 50 map ritual runs. So as you can see, we basically doubled almost what we got off the first one, at least for the audience with the kings, but we got 4 audience with the kings, 1 omen of corruption, and 1 divine orb. So all in all, for the second set of runs, we got 13 divines worth and about 150 exalts for the omen of corruption, which isn't too insane if you think about it. So all in all, off of our 100 runs, we got a total of 20 divines and 300 exalts off of 100 ritual map runs. So all in all, is ritual worth farming? Well, if we take into consideration off of our 100 runs that we've got exactly 20 divine orbs, I would say it depends. If you're using this as a main way of making currency, there's a lot better factors out there. Now, obviously, this is a high RNG gamble mechanic, so you could easily do 20-30 runs and get one of the juiced omens itself for 40 divines and double the profit that I made in way less time. Obviously, you could go for much longer than I have and not get really anything to drop and get way less profit and currency. All in all, there's a huge dopamine hit if you do get something, but if you want something more consistent that you're going to get a lot more currency per hour on a more consistent basis and not really be heavily too swayed by RNG, I would just pick a different mechanic like Breach or something like that and just run it, so this way you're more consistent and you'll get more uptime and more divine drops per hour. Overall, I do think this is a great secondary mechanic to throw on maps. Like if you're going and you're juicing Breach maps, you might as well throw Ritual on there as well, just to see if you can get lucky. But as a main farm and just focusing on this, I think it is not really worth your time. That's all I have for you guys for this currency farm test. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and if you do like it, please hit that like button, as I'm always down to create more stuff like this and really go through all the mechanics like Breach, Delirium, Trials of Sekima, and Chaos, and really test them to see exactly how much you get and what the best currency farm strategy for those mechanics are to really focus and target farm. Like I said, if you guys did enjoy the video, please hit the like button, and a subscribe to the channel would help me out immensely, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm, and currently that is the best way to support me. Hope you guys do have a great rest of your day or night, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.